I went up to see you guys go.
Running back. I haven't seen him in a while. But I have years ago.
Take care of it.
I'm not going to sit. I'll stay until you're ready.
Start with the pledge of allegiance.
Bring it up and I'll jump in.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everyone. The next regular meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, March 16th, 2021 at 6 p.m. at the Community Center, 3500 Edgewater Drive, Sebring, Florida. A special meeting is scheduled for Friday, March 19th, 2021 at 9 a.m. at the Community Center at 3500 Edgewater Drive. Please silence or turn off your cell phones. We have a motion to accept the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Public comment? Okay, Ariel.
Supervisor Hotelling,
Yes.
Supervisor Brooks,
Yes.
Supervisor Herrick,
Yes.
President Gilpin.
Yes. Okay, in the action agenda, we have two discussions tonight. And the first one is Recreation Master Plan. And I think we have someone here to...
I think I am your clicker.
Once again, thank you for the opportunity to be here. My name is Bruce Hall. I'm a landscape architect at SME. We've been working with Sun and Lake, pretty much all of the wonderful Can you hear me now? There we are. Thank you. So we've had the pleasure of working with you all throughout 2020. The experience, the proposal, that scope of services that we outlined morphed a little bit with COVID and what we had to contend with, from in-person interviews to remote virtual meetings online. Kind of had to do it by the fly, but it's been a very enjoyable experience. Our task here was really to come in and look at the amenities of what we've, in-house, we've actually called your Central Park, with the existing clubhouse, the golf course, and the racket club facilities. And also the recently added dog park over on the western edge. And I apologize, we still have Hog Lake showing up here. It's Lake Renata. We'll correct that in the final plan that comes to you. The last time we were here, we presented this master plan that, again, addressed the racket club and the clubhouse area there at the north side with some amenities and kind of a wedding venue out on the island, and then a lot of improvements around the existing clubhouse and pool amenity area. That was presented at the last meeting, and following the meeting, we did the kind of the red dot, green dot exercise, where we received input from y'all as well as the public that were in attendance that morning. And from that plan, we received direction to go ahead and proceed with the particular venues. So the first of which was the Lake Promenade, which would go all around the perimeter of Lake Renata. It would include a 10, 12-foot walking path, exercise stations, some shaded seating areas, and outdoor lighting so that it could function as a daytime and a nighttime space. You could use it for festivals or just an evening stroll after dinner in the golf clubhouse. The playground was another element that we advanced, and that was basically taking what we have now as a two age-grouped playground separated from one another, combining them out along the lake so that there's more of the amenity of having that lake out there, maybe doing something a little bit more dynamic in the structures that would have appeal to the residents. And then also the multi-purpose field just to the west of the swimming pool area. Currently that open space exists. It floods quite frequently, so our approach here was to go ahead and upgrade that area, improve it with some stormwater and rain gardens over on the southeast side over by the parking area to help improve the drainage out there. And then also there we go. And also to use this for festivals. So it's great for pickup sports. It's when you have events out there like the 4th of July, it's a great gathering lawn, as well as this lawn would be over here in the perimeter walkway. But you could also set up a stage in this corner up here that could then broadcast down to the people attending the event. Another element was the Aquatic Center. We were told this was kind of something that was in favor for this project. So what we have reflected specifically then on the plan was to come back in here and have a youth area, an adult area here, with lap pools and exercise basins. And the youth one plays off the existing swimming pool here, and it would be more focused on slides and element like that for the kids. Then we were also asked to expand golf cart parking, which we've added over here. We've added parking down in this little corner here, as well as along this western edge here, reconfigured the existing swale or dry retention pond over here into a little bit more of an aesthetic, and then added 2 volleyball courts, sand volleyball courts over there. So, next one. So altogether, this is where we came from with the focus on both sides of the lake. Next slide. And okay. Ruh-roh.
Yeah.
I have hard copies just in case.
Okay. It's not included on there.
That can go ahead and continue on to the end and see if it's there. Is that okay? That's not there. Let me go ahead and grab this board over here.
Yeah, I know, and this is Chrissy's computer.
Oh, that doesn't work with the light on it, does it? So again, we have this exhibit here that you can look at after the presentation, as well as the larger exhibit in the back here that encompasses all the lake frontage up to the golf clubhouse. But this master plan reflects the direction that we had come up with out of the public involvement phase. Again, all the elements are there: the multi-purpose lawn, playground, lakefront promenade, which gets us pretty close to a mile of measured walking when you encompass some of the walkway out along the frontage right here and then come back into it. Again, the volleyball, the parking over here, and the pool expansion. The neat thing is everything is feasible, so it can be implemented over time. if there's a prioritization out of that, those can go ahead and be advanced really at will. Let's, okay, next steps. Thank you. So the next steps where we're at now will be an endorsement of the draft master plan. If we receive any additional comments from tonight's meeting or in the very near future, we'll go ahead and update the master plan to reflect those, as addressed in bullet number 2. And then, we would look for an establishment of the implementation board. We would expect an RFQ or an RFP to be issued for design services, whether it's through engineering or if you wanted to go through a design build process. Construction varies depending on which one of the elements that you wanted to put in, but they could be 4 to 9 months in duration. Permitting, again, the complexity impacts it, how much impact there is with the Southwest Florida Water Management District can extend the permitting process 2 months to 6 months. Bidding is typically a 2 months or 2 months to 3 months period. And then again, getting back into the complexity of the project will determine the construction phasing, 3 to 9 months out there. So it's a pretty straightforward prospect to go ahead and implement as you'd like. And we certainly hope that we're with you down the road and have the opportunity to continue to see these come to fruition.
Okay.
Any questions? Or?
Anybody having questions?
I guess I'm a little confused on the timeline that you've got there, because you've got issue the RFP for consulting design services. Okay, so we'd have to put out an RFP for the design and then get the construction design from them and then go out for a bid for the construction. We wouldn't go out for a bid for the construction and have them do the design?
Well, it depends on the process that you follow. If you go a design bid process, then you would do an RFP. It would come in with a proposal associated with that and cost, and that would be part of your bidding phase. So that brings it up front, but that's putting a contractor then in charge of the project as opposed to the design team leading the process. The RFQ is just qualification design firms that could, based upon prior experience, could perform the duties of the project. And then once they are selected and engaged under contract, then the construction documents would be developed.
And would your team be one of the teams that would be in consideration for design, or does your team not do design? You just do master plan?
We would love to do it.
Okay.
We do quite a bit of design and construction projects for everybody out on up the 27 corridor. So a lot of open space projects.
Okay. You got anything? You want me to go ahead? I guess my biggest concern is it doesn't match up to what we discussed at our previous meeting. So I must have went to the wrong meeting. And I went back and listened to the audio of our meeting, because my notes didn't match up to this. And after listening to the audio, my notes were right, and your notes are not exactly as accurate as I thought. For example, we decided not to go forward with beach volleyball, but yet beach volleyball is here. We decided to go forward with bocce ball, but bocce ball is not here. We decided not to do the kids' splash pad and slide tower, but that is still here. The playground we thought the number that you originally had for the playground of $298,601 was high and needed to be trimmed back, but now it's up to $494,000 because you added a small event lawn that we never discussed. So, I'm just a little confused.
Supervisor Brooks, that's something I can probably help you with. So the notes that Tanya and I took after the meeting were what was sent to Bruce. So what Bruce sent over was based on what Tanya and I sent. So I'd be happy to go back and look at my notes too. And if there was an error on that, then it would have been
Well, I listened
mine.
to the audio recording. I'm not making a mistake.
I'm not doubting you. I'm just saying I'd be happy to go back and take a look at that.
And we'll be glad to make these adjustments to you, both in the cost
Well-
estimates as well as what's shown on the plan.
I just don't see, I mean, I'm going to be rude for a minute if I may.
Please.
It was a waste of time if we're not going to listen to what we discussed. To have another meeting and not even take a step forward, I don't know, maybe it's me.
No, I concur, Ray. I am thrown here by what's in the proposal compared to what we discussed. When we had a long meeting to refine the plan that we wanted them to provide us new numbers on, and this isn't what we asked for. You're right.
I don't know. I don't know what I would recommend to proceed. I mean, I like some of your ideas. I mean, I'm not knocking them, but I'm just saying that
We're not any closer now than we were.
Huh?
We're not closer now than we were.
No, I don't
Not any
think.
closer. And now the numbers are growing too, so.
Oh, I agree, and the problem is I just think we have to take a step back again and start over from last meeting. I don't see us going anywhere, and I'd also like to have Dan look at, I know we talked primarily about the walking path, but I'd like to see if all that property is even available around the lake.
Tanya did say that she thought we were okay.
Yeah, she did tell me that, but I'm not sure of that. I saw a document today that had the property all the way to the lake. So, and that's what I mean. Tanya told me a few times that she didn't think there'd be any problem, but I just want to make sure that either Dan or Ariel or somebody checks on this stuff, because
Was there discussion with the doctor?
Not by myself, and I don't believe Tanya had any discussion with him before she left either.
And we're sure that the property behind the assisted living, we have access all the way through there.
I can check. Tanya was the one who was mainly kind of focusing on the areas of where we would need an easement and what we do and do not have in Sun and Lake as far as access and property.
I'll
Yeah.
take that. I'll take responsibility for getting that done before the next meeting.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
Not only those two areas, but also you have North Star, which if you look at the appraiser's website, it says they go all the way to the water. So it may or may not be even feasible, but I'll find out.
maybe we would have tried to, I mean, I think under utopia, we would probably want to do all this, but we know we're not living in that kind of world. Maybe we can agree on maybe the top two, so we have at least a direction of what we're going to try to go after. And then I think the rest of, for you to go through the exercise of writing stuff up, and I'm not sure it would be worth it at this point in time, outside of maybe the working on the top two, if we could agree on them. Because I'm not even sure we can do those. Which brings us to another point, that we need to find out what we got. And how, you and I have had this conversation, what we got and how much we're willing to spend out of what we got, and how much we're willing to borrow to make ends meet if necessary. And we're not there yet. We have to have that conversation.
And what other funding sources are available to assist.
Right.
So you actually touched on prioritization
Right.
of what you want to do. And right now we're looking at a master plan. So I will be glad to get this updated next week for y'all, so that we're representing what you all want to do either tomorrow or in 5 years or 10 years on a master plan. If flat out, there's
I
just
would
no
think-
interest in doing something, we'll take it off.
I would think if you go back to the previous meeting and you adhere to that, you'll know what we want.
Yeah, we can,
Because I thought we decided that. Now, we did not necessarily prioritize it, I don't believe, which we can try and do now. I mean, I have a feeling we're going to all have the same answer.
it sounds like it.
Yeah, as to what the number one thing is we'd like
Oh.
to try to accomplish. So I'm going to step out and say, I think we want to do the Promenade first.
Yes.
I agree. But there's a lot of questions. It's got to be answered.
Well, there's a lot of questions, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, for your purpose, they're looking at the Promenade at around $1.3 million, which probably is, more than we're going to want to spend.
Yep.
But at least you have something to go with as far as trying to figure out what we got and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
That's doable.
my thought would be that the promenade and the multipurpose field together would make a very usable facility. So,
Okay. You want to make that the number 2 choice?
The Promenade and the
I'm not
water.
in favor of the
The multi-purpose. That's Neil's suggestion for number 2.
No.
Or Craig, come up, what you...
I think we absolutely need to upgrade our playground. It is not in very good shape for the kids to play on. So I believe that's a necessity that we should address. And then I think the adult pool, because if we're talking about 90 new homes permitted last year, plus what's going on this year. Southern Homes has bought, 150 lots or better, and we've got Hornick doing the same thing. He's still looking at, so it seems to me like the adult pool is going to be a must at some point along the way. But I know that we've had complaints about the playground as being in very poor shape for kids to play on. That's where I'd be.
I mean, if you're going to go top, you're saying those are your top 3, I would go with those.
I would just chime in. I went over and looked at the playground myself today. Wouldn't want my kids playing on it.
Exactly.
I'll agree to that, the top 3.
Neil?
no objection.
Would we like to list them in that order? Promenade, playground, and then adult pool? Like that's the priority, just so that I can be clear here.
Well, we can change that, but
Absolutely.
I think that's a good start. We can always, because I think finance is going to have a lot to do with it.
Absolutely.
But we still want to keep the other information, because, maybe someday we'll be able to get to it. Even though by the time we can get to it, the pricing will probably not be very accurate, so. But it's a good idea. Well, at least we'll know what we're trying to do.
Well, and it helps keep you from painting yourself into a corner in the future. If you know that these are the areas that are required to accommodate these facilities, and so it's, as I said before, it's very feasible, it's very implementable. The direction that you've taken to identify the promenade, the playground, and the swimming pool, when you start to look at it from a constructability standpoint, you're taking that earth-moving equipment and starting at the furthest point away and working back towards the road, your access area. So it really becomes a very logical approach that will be beneficial in the future. So you're not tearing up something you've just put in.
Okay.
So.
But just so you know, we've got a lot on our plate now
Okay.
with the construction and streets and sewers and water. It's so just be patient and work with us. I mean, we're all interested in doing some of this, but we have a lot and we're growing very quickly, and I think some of our priorities might shift a little. I mean, they might, it's only my opinion, but.
Toilet
they might.
flushing is important.
Yeah, so just work with us. I think the majority of us here want to do something, but might be a slow start, but,
Look forward to it. It's a master plan for the future.
okay.
So, all right, thank you.
Is there any public comment?
Good afternoon. Bill Norcross, resident. I was looking at the plans there, and they're pretty expensive. I understand that. And I think if we attack the program in phases and set the priorities. I like the idea of the Promenade because it would attract people to walk around, get them off the street, so they avoid all that other problems. And I think it would add tremendously to the value of the neighborhood. I think that these plans are very expensive. We haven't got the dollar sign on it. It was pretty close to $5 million. If somebody just happened to drop $5 million in our pocket, that would be very nice. But it doesn't always happen. So I hope something like this can be a benefit for Center Lake. I think it's a real plus. Thank you.
Anybody else? You have any final thoughts? Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
The next thing we're going to discuss is a discussion on the golf committee charter. The number one thing we discuss, and after, if there's any changes, there might not be any changes, but we have to, this was never formally adopted, so if we don't make any changes either way, we're going to have Dan get something put together and us formally adopt it at the next meeting. So, does anybody have any changes that they'd like? Okay, it seems like we're going to leave it the same. And the only thing I can say, Dan, is we got a few changes because they changed the date of the meeting, and there was one other small change. Oh, when the minutes will be distributed to all members and members of the Board of Supervisors in a timely manner, which is sometimes 2 weeks afterwards. I did have a meeting with Mike and Earl, and we're going to take care of that. So I don't know if you have to, that could probably stay the same.
Okay.
But I think if they want to, if it's working now, the first Tuesday should be the time.
Okay. I'll have it for the next meeting.
Okay. Any other comments? Public comment.
I just want to confirm, are we staying with a non-sunshine committee?
Yeah, I think so, because there was no changes, and and we had discussed last meeting that
I'll work with
you
Dan
guys
on it,
didn't
yeah.
want that either, so.
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
work with Dan on making sure that we're,
Okay.
yeah.
Any other public comments?
Charlie Shields, resident. Yeah, I would just like to have explained to me what's wrong with the golf committee, or why we have to look at the charter. Is there something wrong with the charter?
Apparently not. Nobody wanted to change anything.
Thank you.
Just for the record, the Silent Lake Policy Manual says all committees have to be reviewed annually, so we have to review.
But yeah, I agree, but I didn't want to argue about something. It's not even worth me talking about it. Okay. Add-on items. What I'll do, Dan, is go down the list of the agenda. Okay, and you can tell me if any of you don't know that Dan is our our new general manager for a while, so if you get a chance, talk to him after the meeting.
Short
As
while.
far as we know, he's doing a good job. Okay. Add-on items? None?
None unless Ray wants to go over the letter that you passed out.
Oh, that letter?
You want to do that in board to board?
The one about, that I got, this one?
Up to you.
Yeah, I mean, you guys all got a copy. It was sent to me from one of the members. I guess you guys know who it is. The names on it, right? Anyway, it was sent to me by one of the members who had an experience on Sunday at the restaurant, and there was several couples, and their concern was not necessarily that the food was bad or something like that, but the place closed up, or the food was stopped being served at 3 o'clock, which are the rules. I mean, that's the hours that we have. And they were saying on Sunday, with all the outside play that we get, et cetera, it might be in our best interest to keep it open later. So I alerted Mike to this, and I happen to think it's a pretty good idea, because we run the pub menu, so we're not changing the menu. And it would just be a question, instead of killing it at 3 o'clock, to maybe extend it to 4 or 5 o'clock, so that when golfers, if they do get done and they want something to eat at the club, have that opportunity. So I don't know.
Yeah, and that's, it's good feedback to have, and it is very doable. Obviously, we knew well, first off, on Sundays, we've been operating that way indefinitely. So when we made the changes, that wasn't a part of any change. We have been doing that ongoing indefinitely. But on that note, yeah, absolutely. If we have a period of time that is showing the data of being busy, if it's busy from 3 to 5 on Sundays, a certain time of the year, then absolutely, we can make adjustments to our staffing schedule and accommodate that. I feel in this situation when we're gathering data, because I love to look at data, and I have some more data for you, and I have plenty of data if anybody ever wanted to look at it. I think we're definitely going to make a flexible adjustment right now. We're going to have a little more staff on Sundays. I don't think we're going to change our posted hours of operation. I think we'll be just a little more flexible and stay open a little bit longer, even though it's not our posted schedule. And maybe we'll maybe advertise that a little bit, that we'll be a little flexible with our hours till we generate a little bit more data. And the reason why I say that, so that particular Sunday, we did $1,500 worth of revenue, okay? We can't count the Sunday before that because it was Valentine's Day and we had a big deal. The Sunday before that, we did $800 in revenue. So it wasn't necessarily particularly crazy busy that day, and obviously things are fluctuating, and the pandemic is, I feel people are starting to feel more comfortable coming out. So yes, we're making adjustments as we go. And I think on Sunday, absolutely, we want to be more flexible, and we want to accommodate all of our golfers for sure. But we definitely want to capture all the revenue that we possibly can efficiently. So I had a good discussion with my staff today about this particular incident, and we've had some similar incidences necessarily on other nights where we were busier than we thought we were, so we might not have been staffed correctly. So we've already made those adjustments, and things have been great. So that's the long answer. The short answer is yes, we'll make some adjustments. We'll try to keep the restaurant open a little bit longer on Sundays to accommodate those groups that are coming in just a little bit later right now.
That's not acceptable. I mean, don't play games. What does it cost us to keep the restaurant open 2 more hours?
Well, that's
$70.
Well, that's my point. I feel that we absolutely can keep it open longer, and that's what we're going to do.
Well, don't screw around with the hours. Post the new hours. Don't say we'll keep it open if somebody knocks on the door.
More flexible is a difficult one, because then guests don't know whether they should come or not.
Sure, and that's why I say we'll advertise that we'll be open longer. We'll serve guests longer, and we can post new hours, but we're going to turn around in 2 months and change it back.
And that's fine.
So if everybody's okay with that,
it should be open until 5. So say it's open until 5.
I mean, remember, a lot of these people that are coming in to eat on Sundays are outside golfers.
And it's just the pub menu.
Yeah, it's
Correct.
We're not changing the menu. 2 more hours can't cost a hell of a lot. The building's already open, people are already there.
And at least through March and potentially April. And then when things start slowing back down, relook at it. Maybe we aren't getting any hours or meals.
Sure, and I don't want, and as I stated with the data, this was the first Sunday, and I'm fine with that, guys. We can 100% do that. I don't want you to take me wrong on this, but we have data from, a few Sundays now, and we've had one Sunday that's been a little extra busy later.
What was the weather like on those other Sundays?
Correct. Well, I think, and that definitely can play the factor in it. We don't have a ton of data right now, and we're operating on you can't use data from prior years because it doesn't work in our situation. I'm totally comfortable in 3 months. We're not going to blow up our operation by extending 2 hours on Sunday for the next 2 months. I 100% agree with you. I just don't want to be wishy-washy and say, oh, we're going to be open 2 more hours, and then all of a sudden 2 weeks later it's not working out and we've been slow, and then we go backwards.
Keep it open 2 more hours until we tell you not to.
Absolutely. That's the point
That'll solve
that I want to get back to. I obviously we're going to readdress our hours in April anyway, so I'll keep collecting the data. I do it every day, and I'll keep giving you that data until we want to make that decision. So we will keep the restaurant open till
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock on Sundays.
Thank you.
100%.
That was it for my letter, thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I would say don't wait. If you think it's time for us to change the hours and we haven't told you to change the hours, recommend that we change the hours so we can look at it.
Right. Well, absolutely. I'm totally comfortable with that. And obviously, this just happened 2 days ago. So, we'll try to be as proactive on that as possible because it's going to go the other way when we get to summertime. Absolutely. So I will do the absolute best I can to be proactive on that.
You did receive a copy of this letter, didn't you?
I did, yes.
There's another topic in there that needs to be addressed also.
I didn't bring that one up. You can bring it up.
No, he knows what it is.
Yes.
And my only comment, I agree with my fellow supervisors, but I'm not quite sure that we're the ones that should be telling you this. But I told you when we extended you 6 months, this is yours to run, and I expect you to run it.
Yeah,
and so just, I just don't think it's our job.
Well, just no, and I understand your point, and just to note that operations at the restaurant have been very good. I've had plenty of solid feedback. We have had, it's the service industry. We're not going to bat 1,000 ever. I think things have definitely taken a positive trend. I think there's folks in the room that would tell you that. I think. There's obviously some changes that we've made. There's going to be some hiccups. There's going to be some ideas that we need to change. The restaurant's not upside down right now. The numbers we're generating are great. Our labor percentages, which I was going to tell you about, we can do it now, have been really great the last 2 weeks. We're under 40%. So there's a lot of positive things. The new menu's been fairly popular. We've had, obviously, when you make changes, you take somebody's favorite thing away. You make some people happy. You don't make some people happy. But in the service industry, if we do something and 75% of the people give you great feedback, you're probably going to get 10% of the people that don't give you any feedback, and you'll probably get 5 to 10% that give you negative feedback. So we just got to make sure that we're working towards the biggest group, and we're trying to accommodate the largest number of folks possible, and I think we're doing that right now. I really do. Not that I'm excusing this incident. I think it's another learning situation for us where we can adapt and we can get better, because that's what we always want to do. We want to adapt and get better. So we're going to do that in this situation, and we're going to continue to do that going forward. So. Thank you, and I welcome the feedback, and I've had plenty of feedback on both sides of the coin. So, and I have some of that, in comment cards in my office, and some other folks as well. So I'm glad to share that. I welcome it, and that's how we learn and grow. So
I'm hearing one comment that I find it very disturbing, even if it's that we're doing it by plan. And that's when we call in for a reservation and they say, no, we can't take a reservation because we don't want to overload the kitchen. But then the people refused the reservation and then hung up on it. That's another subject, but then they come down and there's all kinds of open tables and they sit down.
right.
The last thing you want to tell people is, we don't want to overload the kitchen.
So I feel,
I know why you're doing it.
in the restaurant industry, it's called pacing. We definitely don't want to overpace our staff, especially running, in the situation that we do. We have a very small service window, and it is true. We do try, and you'll see in my newsletters and things, I want to recommend people to make reservations so we can accommodate that. And we have the difference of being a regular restaurant is a lot of restaurants in this town don't take reservations, and we do to try to do that. It's good to help us staff correctly, but we also have the membership, and trying to accommodate all of those things and have great service. A lot of the members don't understand that if they want to eat at 5:30, they want to eat at 5:30, whether we're kind of outpacing the kitchen or the restaurant staff itself, and that's a challenge for us, and we try to accommodate the membership absolutely as best as that we can. But if we outpace our service staff, then it's really hard to give good service if we overwhelm our service staff.
The last thing you want to tell somebody is that you're not asking them to come in because it's going to be...
I understand. I definitely understand your
message.
I understand what you're saying there, and I will address that situation.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
You can always tell them, we're very, very busy. We're working your order as soon as we can, but we are very busy. I like that a whole lot better than you telling me...
I understand.
I can't take your order because we...
No, I understand your point,
Okay.
and I will address that.
All right.
Anything else from the supervisors? And thanks, Mike. Any public comment?
I'm not sure how, Charlie Shields, resident. I'm not sure how this works, but when we talk about Sunday, the conversation, we know how many people are out on the golf course. We got a tee sheet, so I mean, before we look at closing the restaurant or anything, we know that there's 25 people out on the golf course. That's one of the things you need to consider. That's just my comment.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else? Hi, Linda.
Hi, Linda Camp, resident. I have just one concern about the restaurant, and that would be the tables.
Linda?
The tables being cleaned more. I've seen some of the tables when the girls have left after coming in from being out on the golf course, and the tables are not cleaned on a regular basis with spray. And because of everything that's going on, I really think that should be taking place. That, and then I had one more thing, and I know, Michael, that I've asked you several times, but what's the story on trying to have a breakfast at some time on a Sunday morning?
Yeah, we've had that discussion on several instances, and we had this discussion a few months ago, and I promise you, I went back and I tried to rework all the numbers. I feel if we're going to tackle the Sunday brunch or Sunday breakfast situation, then we're going to have to most likely remove some other day of service to work in our business model, and that's very doable if it's Mondays or Tuesdays or some other situation, especially in the business model that we're in right now, trying to run the restaurant with max efficiency to have 7 full days of operation, whether it's dinners, lunches, and then a brunch on Sunday. It's definitely going to require additional staff that may put us out of bounds on our situation. Just crunching the numbers of what it would cost us, provided that we can avoid overtime on the Sunday service with what we have on our current staff. We would have to do, by my math, was at least 100 covers for a breakfast or lunch to hit the break-even point. That was where my numbers got to. And that was at try to get to the lower price point that people would request to want to be there. And I thought that was a little outstanding to try to fit in our model right now. And the discussion, and me and Dan had just had the discussion with my regional director of operations about the same situation just this week. So the discussion's still on the table. We haven't reached the point where we can execute that yet, I think, efficiently to meet our goals as a restaurant.
Okay, well, maybe you could start out with one Sunday a month or something like that to start off and see what would happen. I'm not talking a brunch. I'm just talking about a straight breakfast.
Breakfast, yeah, straight breakfast.
Brunch. Yes.
And brunch was a disaster.
I mean, there's so many restaurants that have got waiting lines for breakfast, and I keep thinking we're missing the beat on it.
Right, no, and I understand, and that is a good point. We just haven't fit it into our business model quite yet, and it's not that it's not possible. We're still having the conversations now.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll just comment again. I mean, when we talked to Cliff and we wanted breakfast and he gave us brunch, I'm telling you, I've never in my life seen anything so bad in my life. I mean, and nobody knew what they were doing. That's not your fault. But wow, we want breakfast. So, but that's up to you. You're in charge for 6 months. Okay?
Right.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. Petitions and Communications, as I have something here from Mr. Harrison, and what I'd like to do is I give a copy to the supervisors, but basically for the audience, it's from John Harrison, and him and his wife would like us to maybe register golf carts that aren't golfers, and make sure they have insurance, make sure they know the rules. Like I said, I've been on here 6 years, and I think, not to say anything about security, but I think I'm the only one that sees 10-year-olds driving carts around here, because we don't seem to, they still do it on and on and on and on. So I would like Dan to look into this to see if it's at all feasible. And what they want to do is have stickers for, what they recommend is have stickers for people that aren't golfers, and have that on there, and go over it and make sure they have insurance, and know that they can't ride on the golf course. So many of them still ride on the golf course, and there's 10, 11, 12-year-olds driving carts all over the place. So
I had mentioned that to Tanya some weeks ago, and I thought we were putting something in.
Can you use your mic?
Several weeks ago, I talked to Tanya about the same problem, because I've seen people, young children out there on powered scooters, on skateboards, on the golf course, especially around number 2 on Turtle. And I thought we were going to put something in the newsletter to tell people that golf carts are only allowed out there if you are a golf member and you have a trail fee. Well, you have a trail fee. And that the children cannot ride their bicycles, skateboards, powered scooters, or just scooters, period, out on the golf course, on the paths. That's not what they're there for. And there's been several instances where I stopped the children one time, and they said, "Oh, no, we live here." I said, "It doesn't matter. You're supposed to have a trail fee on the cart before you come down, and you shouldn't be out here when we're golfing anyway because of potentially getting hurt." And skateboards and scooters aren't allowed, period, nor bicycles. But evidently, she talked to you or not?
She did. She sent me an email asking that I include something into the newsletter that asks for golf carts, scooters, I believe, and bicycles to be off of the course, or not on the course during course playtime, I believe was close to the verbiage. we put something, yes, we did put something in there regarding being off of the course, staying off of the course
But
during.
that's suggesting that they can do it if the course isn't got golfers on
They
it.
should never be on.
No,
That's
never.
where I'm at.
Understood, and we can definitely, like, even expand on that, be that in email, Facebook.
Is it already in the newsletter
It
going
is.
out?
It is.
Craig, would you mind if Dan wants it, that you two could work together on this?
That's fine, I think.
And I don't care too much about the skateboards. That should be automatic. They ought to know that they can't be out there ever. But Dave would probably have to look to see if we could force this. That's a legal question, but
I think that, I had a conversation with Dan earlier today about it, and I think the premise is a good idea, getting people registered and billing for a database, but when it comes to policing it, we don't have police powers. So the best we're going to be able to do is, if we do implement this and we have stickers, then that would allow security or whoever to access the database. They see someone, they can identify the sticker. We make the sticker large enough so that it can be, visually verified from a distance, that we can access the database, see who it is, and then either contact the property owners where the golf cart is registered to, or contact the police and say, hey, because we don't have any ability to police them if they're doing something incorrectly.
okay. Well, Dan, could you and Craig, I'd appreciate it, because we need to do something on that.
Yeah, will do.
Okay.
We need to make sure we don't have liability. If we let these kids on the golf course and one of them gets whacked, guess who's going to get sued?
Okay.
So we need to address it. I agree, Craig.
Any public comment on that? Okay, staff.
The one thing I want to be kid-friendly, because it's not just
Yeah.
55 and over in the community. I mean, we need to be kid-friendly, but they can't be out on the course and
That's
get
right.
hurt. That's my thing.
Yeah, I don't think any of us disagree, Craig. But you can't let kids do that, Oh, go ahead, Charlie.
When you pursue that, I'm in Sunrise Drive at Manor Hill. I see it all the time on the roads. I mean, these kids are out driving these carts at dark. So, I mean, you have to address that too. It's just not the golf course. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry, Charlie, I meant all over, because that's where I see them most of the time, is just all over the neighborhoods. And I know it's not a policing thing, but I don't see anybody, not too much from the reports, that we're stopping and asking, but they might not report that, but that's...
We need to make sure what we can stop them for too, so maybe we need to
Yeah.
get Craig and I need to get out with Dave, and we'll figure that out.
Yeah, we'll work with David.
Michael,
Yes, sir.
the law is 14 years old that they can drive a golf cart.
Yes.
Okay, this is where for 10 years we've been going through this. Okay, for 10 years we've been having 14-year-olds driving. Number one, when you stop them, they don't have an ID. Okay, when you ask them where they live, you get a couple of. They sometimes won't tell you.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. The problem is policing it. If we make everyone register, I don't know how you're going to do just non-golfers. Okay? Everybody register their golf carts. And you and I have talked about this for years.
Well, we do register the golfers. We do have to have insurance. They do know who we are with our number. And I know it's not an easy task, Mike, but I just think we need, the more we're growing and getting more kids, and I see more golf carts all running all over the place.
Absolutely, but a couple years ago, we did have someone, we had security, I think 2 or 3 hours, 3 times a week, 4 times a week, right? And there was Wayne Benton, actually, and he policed all that. He threw people out people were riding bikes on the course, skateboards. Right now there's no way to stop it. The other day, Mike and I were standing up at a golf course, and Mike went out himself and threw some people off at number 2. but if we're not there, it's really, really tough to,
I understand, but we gotta do a little better job of trying, okay?
I'm 100% behind
Okay,
on it.
okay.
I agree.
Okay, staff reports, who wants to go first?
All right, I'll get started first. Good evening, supervisors. I think we can skip part of my report. We've pretty well covered it. We'll start with the golf courses. Earl put together a few items for you. You're going to see the spring pre-emergent program. It'll be applied to all the non-overseeded areas on both courses. You don't want to put the pre-emergent on the overseeded areas because there could be still some germination. So we'll be doing that here shortly. We'll also be doing some ninja tining on both putting greens next week, so you'll see that. Due to the warm weather, some of the rough started to grow a little bit, so you're seeing us mow some certain areas in the rough. We're not mowing all of the rough because it's not all actively growing, but in a few areas it is. They will be doing another round of fertilizer to the high traffic areas to try to keep that turf as healthy as we can. Yesterday in my report, I don't know if you read that we had an irrigation issue. That's been resolved. It was a warranty issue, so there was no cost to us out there on Turtle Run. So we did not have irrigation part of the day, Sunday and Monday. There's been, now that it's fixed, there was no issues with that. So that is taken care of. On to membership, I haven't updated you in a couple weeks because it hasn't changed a whole lot. Ran the numbers today. We're at 962,000 in membership and cart fees together, and our original budget was 1,040,000, so we're at 93%. We're still not even halfway through the year, so we still have time to capture some more membership dues. And I see that's still possible. We have a lot of our 50% off program. Those will continue to expire throughout the year. So they will then, if we continue our capture rate, they will apply, which they would extend their membership basically to the end of the year and then get on the cycle with everybody else. So there is definitely time to capture some more membership. Still a chance that we could hit our goal there.
Do you have a sense that the decrease is due to the partial year membership for the international golfers as opposed to them buying the longer term?
Yeah, I feel, obviously the biggest, all of it pretty much is due to the pandemic. A large chunk of that is due to our international members. A lot of them aren't here, but several of them are, and they have taken advantage of that international membership that we have, but that actualizes monthly as they pay each month, as opposed to, normally it would actualize back in October when they would join, or maybe in November when they got here, and then it would, then we would spread it out throughout the year. So it is actualizing every month. So part of that over the next 2 months will actually actualize some more revenue with the international memberships, which is another place we will gain that. But yeah, definitely that is pretty much all of it is definitely due to the pandemic, and some snowbirds aren't here, plus the internationals. So absolutely. Let's see.
I'm surprised we hit 93%.
Already covered all that. Okay, so the next thing I want to discuss, and it's, we've discussed it before, it's kind of a tough talking point, but golf cart traffic. So we've been collecting data on all the membership use of our golf cart fleet. And we started tracking this in October, early October, not necessarily October 1st. It was like the second week of October we started tracking this. So the membership has used over 4,200 of our carts since October. So out of those rounds, there's a lot of single cart use that are using their own carts, but 4,200 members have used our cart. And we do have some members that pay for that service, but we have extended that service to the rest of the membership during the pandemic as part of their service at no charge currently. And I just want you to know it's becoming more and more frequent. As we're getting busier, we're seeing that more and more every day. So Monday's the largest day, and I just want you to know that yesterday we gave out 101 carts to the membership. We have a 120 cart fleet. So those are 101 carts that we received no revenue for, that we had to pay to charge, we had to pay somebody to clean, and that's also continued with the single cart use riders that goes into, the extra wear and tear on the course. And I'm bringing that to your attention, not that we need to make a decision at this time, but I feel that you should have the data for anything you guys may want to make as a decision as a board. I know a lot of the other courses in the area are charging fees for that. That would be my recommendation, that we could charge, even if it's a $5 fee to use one of our carts. I do feel that it doesn't set the right example when we charge members of the club who do not own a cart. We charge them an annual fee for the privilege to use our cart. We don't charge that extra fee to members that have their own cart, and now they're using our cart at no charge. So I feel that would be part of my recommendation. And not to mention that we have, year to date, we have spent $5,800 for the extended and extra carts that we rented to accommodate this. I think if we were to charge $5 a cart for that usage of our cart, we could overcome some of that deficit that we're incurring. Now, I know in a lot of different businesses, when things like this happen, it's a pass-through, and I don't think it's a lot to ask, and it's not my decision, it's yours. But I felt like you should have data.
I would support that decision. I think that we've accommodated the single-player carts for almost a year now because of the pandemic. I think that if we put a small fee on that and say we'll still make them available if you feel like you need to have a separate cart for your safety, but we are going to start paying or charging a fee, whether it's $5 or $10, I would support that as a direction now as we phase out of COVID.
I don't support it.
I don't support it.
Until I see the numbers consistently down on reported cases of COVID in Highlands County, I highly recommend that we do not change it until the CDC says differently, but we don't. We continue to have cases well above the 5% here in this county. The vaccination is started. Hopefully by the end of March, maybe we can go look at it again. But I am not in favor of charging for extra carts.
I agree with that we wouldn't want to stop making them available, but I don't think it's unreasonable to charge a fee, given that we have expenses for the use of those carts.
Yeah, again, and my recommendation at this time is to not go to 2 people per cart, although the USGA has already made that recommendation. I don't think we need to do that here. I mean, we could, although we are incurring extra cost being single rider use, and I have that data too as far as extra that is costing us on the course. That's not part of my recommendation. Part of my recommendation is just we're incurring extra fees for that use. I just think a nominal fee to help overcome those costs, $5 a cart, I think is fair, and that would be my recommendation. I'm not saying we're doing away with the single cart riders, it's just the fee to use our cart. If you're riding your own cart, and all 4 of you guys are in a foursome, you all have your own 4 carts, you're not going to see another fee. It's just if you're going to use because we charge members that do not own a cart, they pay for the privilege to use our cart. They pay $500 a year, so that's 100 rounds at $5.
And we pay a trail fee also.
Correct, but they don't see a reduction. They pay the same amount you do plus. So they pay the trail fee plus.
It's an addition.
It's in addition to that.
Right, but now under that membership, if 2 of them, is that a family? $500?
I believe there's 2 separate fees. I think there's a family and an individual.
So is it $500?
For a family.
Okay, and if they're using 2 carts?
They paid for that privilege. I'm just
They're
stating
paying
the
for the
facts.
privilege once, as we did with our trail fees.
I believe it's $300 for an individual and $500 for a family.
Correct.
Okay, They're paying for
In
it.
addition to the trail.
In addition to the trail fee that they pay as well. Their members, so when they pay their membership, a family membership, you pay a family membership, you pay the same amount.
And then they're paying.
They pay an additional amount for that use. So I'm just saying, if it was me and I paid that, I'd be coming here and asking you for a refund because you're not charging everybody else. That's my opinion. That's how I feel.
Have people
But you don't have a
complained?
cart.
Have people complained?
That's correct.
Have people complained?
Have people complained about paying extra and not everybody else paying extra? No, they have not, but they may not understand that what's
Have you
going
lost
on.
business by using our cards?
We have not to this point,
Okay. so
and we
people
are.
haven't complained.
Right.
We haven't lost any business. You've answered your own question.
Well, I feel we're at the point in the season where we're in mid-February, we're in full swing. I think it is.
Yeah, so if we haven't got into problems now, it's only been, we're past the worst.
No, I don't. I think the worst is next to come in the next 6 weeks. The next 6 weeks is when we're going to be the busiest.
What did you have in your amended budget?
For that revenue, no, and you're correct on that. And we have put that extra fee, we have put the extra expenses is in our budget. That is correct. But I'm just saying that if we want to overcome some of the extra fees that we've incurred, I think it's fair to all of the membership, and I'm not here to argue. I'm just here to give you guys the facts. You guys can make whatever decision you want.
Maybe I'm not understanding this correctly. So let's say I want to come in and get a cart. You want to charge me $5?
If you're a member and you want to use a card, I would recommend that. So I would, if you look at the data, we're still, the amount of carts that we're using every day for membership is still increasing. We were 85, on a Monday we used 85 back in January and we hit 101 today. That's just the facts. I'm just giving you guys the data.
Well, you guys can talk as long as you want. I vote no for any charge to any member on anything pertaining to a cart.
Any other comment? I'll just say that keep doing the data, and let's look at it again March 16th.
Will do.
Okay. Anything? Go ahead, Mike.
That is all I have on my report.
All right, I'll go. Sorry about that. I just want to give you some updates.
Turn it on. Turn it on.
That little button.
Testing. I just want to give you some updates. We had
Talk into it.
300. We had 385 watch orders. We had 250 citations. Last month, we also, I'm going to give you a couple of projects we're working on right now. We're working on a lift station on Matanzas. I've had a lot of complaints about smell again. Contacted Craig A. Smith about the filter system. So what we did was
The new one.
the new one.
The new lift station.
Lift station, yes. So what we did, I contacted Craig A. Smith, and we talked the best way to see if we could fix it. So what we did is the way it's set up, the filter system is about 4 or 5 feet off the ground. And when it comes out of the lift station, the smell kind of like floats. So what we did was I talked to them and said, well, what if we raised it up? And they said they've done that in many places. So what we did was we raised it up 6 feet, 6 or 8 feet. It got better. So what we're going to do is going to raise it up to 12 feet high, put a new filter system, stay with the same system, but get it higher so it doesn't. Well, it's kind of like a chimney. Okay, I mean, the guys from from the cold weather will understand the backdrafts. So what we did was we raised everything, and it's working pretty good. They finished it up today. I've talked to a couple of residents. They're happy. At least we're trying to work on it. We also have put in the access road to the lift station, so we're not crossing the course anymore.
Did this cost us any money?
What?
Lifting it 6 feet?
Yes, it costs us,
I mean, you're kidding me.
I didn't design it.
We paid like $300,000 to fix this thing, and we're still paying for it?
It's out of warranty, okay?
It's out of
I
warranty?
didn't design it.
Huh?
Okay, I'm just trying to fix it. That's all I can tell you.
It's already on a warranty?
Yeah.
We just finished it last summer.
That part was. To me, it wasn't a very good design. Once we raised it up for, hey, I'm not an engineer. That's my opinion. To me, it wasn't a very good design.
How much did you pay?
$200, I think.
$2,200?
Yeah, right. The road that we put in, which we've been planning on doing that for a couple of years, that was in the budget. What it is it's a road off Matanzas to get in and out of the lift station, because we were crossing the golf course every time we had to cross to maintain it, whatever. So that's in, so that's all done.
Just out of curiosity, are we going to do anything to stop vehicles from using
Yes.
that hours?
We're going to put a chain across, so the only people that can cross are the golf people and the maintenance people. All right. So that was actually pretty good.
Just as an aside, you were coming across private property before you got to the golf course, coming from the other way, so we probably shouldn't have been doing that anyway.
Well,
No.
I know what he's doing. I was watching it there.
Right. And also, the property we used was given to us by the county anyway, so everything's worked out pretty good there. Because I've had some questions about what's going on there. So that's all projects I got going on.
I got it. The second story people that are in those condos down, is it now going into them?
No.
Okay.
I haven't got any complaints. No, but I mean, believe me, Craig, it's much, much better than it was, because when you stood around there, Dan was there and he had to go home and take a shower when we left. That's how bad the smell was. So, okay, thank you.
Mike, I had a question on somebody called about your security that you put online. Do you do that?
No, I don't put it online. I don't know who did it. I don't know who.
Okay, well, it hasn't been being posted, I guess, and somebody cares.
Okay. The report?
Yeah, the security.
That's Chrissy.
Okay. I'll talk to Chrissy, but
right. Yeah.
I can't
can tell you,
understand.
I thought you meant
if Chrissy had the report, it would be online.
Yeah.
So you can't pass that on to Chrissy.
What happened was Bob was like a month late on it.
Okay.
It wasn't Chrissy's father, it was Bob's, and Bob got help.
I was just amazed somebody was looking for that. What?
I am very surprised.
Okay.
I'm very surprised, but anyways, well, at least it's there.
Okay, I just wanted to follow through with that.
Okay. Thank you.
Ariel, are you next? Or Omar?
I can go. So I want to give a couple updates. We do have 2 outstanding RFPs. One of them is the community center roof and the Turtle Run Aqua Tea project. Both of those will become due on March 2nd, which is next Tuesday. We've got interest on both, so we expect multiple bids on both of those bids. We're in the process of creating an RFP for the drainage program, and that will more than likely come due sometime early April. We'll give about 30 days for that drainage to come due. Also sent you guys an email with the upcoming capital budget discussion timeline, so if you have any concerns or feel like we need to accommodate, we've obviously built in several meetings this year to try and accommodate, and I think it'll flow a lot better, be more efficient, it won't be years long, and we've got 5 meetings scheduled, so that's coming up. We've had conversations with Mueller. That was the case that we started the litigation on the water meter system. We've had several conversations going back to January. About a week ago, Dan, Mike, and myself sat in on a meeting with them. They were supposed to provide us references and some pricing justifications. We have not received a response, so it looks like we're not going to be able to come to some sort of compromise with Mueller. So that's going to put us in a situation where we're going to have to create an RFP, create a scope, and see what other programs and systems are out there. Last time we did this, it was $1 million project. So that'll be a big conversation as we go through the capital budget discussion this year, is how we allocate some funds to do something with this program, and then with the litigation, forecast some reimbursement in long term for that project.
I thought we were going to get $500,000 from
I was going to address it in my talk, but if we want to address it now, that's what I was going to, my conversation with Dan this morning, we need some direction from you guys about how much time we want to give these people to continue this settlement negotiation. It's, started out pretty good, looked like we were moving in the right direction based on my understanding, but now apparently we've hit a little bit of an impasse. That may be because they're not under any pressure from us, and I think it's time for us to put that pressure on. And so if the board would like to give us a timeline, because they haven't filed a response, because we've entered into settlement negotiations, they're not having to spend any more real money on their attorney to do any additional paperwork involved with the litigation. And so my recommendation is we give them a maximum of 30 days, preferably something like 2 weeks, and say, hey, give us your best offer or we're moving forward.
Yeah, when we got off the phone, the number was down to about 425, which felt pretty good about, but then it just kind of disappeared. So I think it's time to put on some pressure. I would agree with that.
I'd recommend give them 2 weeks and tell them you need to bring the number back to the board on the 16th.
I second that.
I don't like 425.
The goal is to get it as low as possible, but when we were, realistically, that 400 number is, it's in the wheelhouse. I think I'm not saying that I want to bring that to be the number to bring back to the board. Obviously, we want the best price possible, but
these people did screw us, correct?
They inherited a screw up, technically.
Well,
but there is, they are in my opinion, they are in violation of their warranty, and that's why we are in litigation.
When you buy a company, you buy their liabilities, and they bought them.
The problem is,
the real issue for us is, let's talk about how many of these units really aren't working and you need to replace them for free. And that's how we got to the 420 number, but it's a little bit meshy and it might go below 4. That's our goal anyway.
Well, yeah, it costs us $500,000 is what I'm understanding.
Yes, it
is
will.
that correct?
Yes, and
We'll just pull it out.
But if we have to replace the thing, it's probably going to be at least $1 million, and then we got to recover back from them. So we would rather not have to pay $1 million if we didn't have to.
yeah, I think $500,000 just to let everybody know might be a good number, but it could be worse. Just to let everybody know
This thing is all the way back to Greg Griffin days, and
it goes back to Michael Wright and Greg Griffin.
It never has really worked right, I don't think, from what I understand. Omar knows more than I do, but
yeah,
it worked semi-right for a while, but not very long.
I didn't think how old is the system?
7 years old.
7 years old.
So we've been negotiating with Mueller for 3 years since the day they acquired the program. It's been a runaround. We've kind of given them their last chance to kind of come to the table and make it right, and they're still dragging their feet. So in my mind, I'm kind of fed up at this point. I feel like we need to put pressure, and I wouldn't even consider the 2-week response, because the program and the software that they've recommended, they can't give us any references for us to go see the program and see if it's actually functioning at any other municipality or location to this date. So that was one of the requests that we asked them, is just give us some references so we can go visit and have conversations, and they can't even provide that. So
yeah, we want to make sure what they put in actually works somewhere. We don't want to go through this again if we have to go through it once.
Dave, do you need an actual motion on something like this?
No, I think we're good. I'll have a conversation with Mr. Laconi tomorrow and tell him that, that the March 16th date is, they either need to give us their best offer or they need to file a response.
And include with that, based on what Omar just clarified, that they need to provide references that we can check out before the 16th as well.
Understood.
Okay, anything else?
Two other things. Tanya, before she left, the county is doing a program with the Clean Water State Revolving Fund, where they're requesting an application to try and get funds, basically a loan from the state at a 0.29% interest rate, super low interest rate, in order to do drainage projects and wastewater treatment. So Drew's been working on projects and putting in a submission for that application. Our projects for the district are somewhere in the realm of about $3 million. There's some unknowns at this moment as to who's going to be footing that bill and how much will actually get granted access of the $3 million. So we'll keep you up to date with that state revolving fund. We can decide during the budget process whether we want to partake in that and borrow some of that money from the county.
Where did that $3 million number come from?
That's Drew putting together all the projects within the district that could meet the criteria for this clean water state revolving fund.
It would be all of the culverts out in the back 40 that need to be replaced and all the ditches that need to be cleaned and all of that stuff that's on the 5-year, 7-year plan you could do immediately if you got the state money. The chances of us getting it all would be somewhere between slim and none, but we might get enough to make us look a little better.
You get all the money and you're basically paying 0% interest to get it all done all in one shot.
They want to hold on that recreational stuff.
That would work.
Doesn't look too good right now.
And then the last thing I wanted to mention,
Is that county money?
that is county money.
Well, it's
Scott jump in there.
it's state money that the county's trying to get.
Correct.
Okay.
The last thing I wanted to mention was property taxes. So David and I and Dan have had a few conversations. In 2019, the county rolled out a fire assessment throughout the county, and the fee was somewhere in the realm of $24 per parcel. In 2019, we budgeted for that expense, and we never got billed. So it was somewhere around a $15,000 forecast that we were forecasting that it would impact our budget. Didn't get billed in 2019, so we removed it for the 2020 budget. We got the bills this year, and there was a $15,000 increase because of the fire assessment on all 600 lots. So since November, we've contacted the property appraiser, we've contacted the tax collector to figure out why it wasn't billed in 2019, why we're getting billed in 2020. We have not received a response as of today. There's a deadline for March 1st to try and exempt all the properties, which I don't think we're going to be able to meet that criteria this year. But I think we're going to have a conversation with the county and then have a conversation internally as to how much land we want to continue to foot the bill for and acquire and keep on hand, and how much is just not worth the district expense anymore keeping. So $16,000 of that is for the wastewater treatment plant down by Cortez Boulevard. And then there's another $8,000 that we keep in Unit 21 for mitigation purposes. So that's just a change. You'll see if we can't come to a compromise this year, then there's going to be a $10,000 impact to the budget for property taxes because of the fire assessment.
You're just full of good news tonight.
I know. That's what happens when I take a couple weeks off and then I have to come back.
Well, just make sure you keep us informed. I'm sure Dan will, but you can understand why I talked to this recreation guy like I did. We have some major things coming, along with a lot of new buildings and stuff going on. So pass it on to your fellow citizens of Sun and Lake, because we have some tough decisions to make soon, and a lot of money. Ariel?
Okay, few updates. First, regarding the Rec Desk Recreation software program, that is finally completely installed, and we're up and running, fully transpired out of the multiple programs we were using into one very functional program. Still working out a few very minor kinks with that, but overall it's been extremely functional and has really streamlined operations for Kelly and the staff over at the Recreation office. We will be hosting a Dash and Die 5K in lieu of the Easter Festival this year. In years past, last year we were not able to host the event, but in years past we did some sort of an Easter festival that included a massive Easter egg hunt. This year we decided to forego the festival, and we will be doing a 5K instead. That will be held on April 1st. Dash and Die, they're usually pretty popular, so hopefully that'll do well. Kelly and I are working on doing the preliminary work and research regarding summer camp programs this summer, reaching out to some different facilities here locally that would have typically hosted those to see if that is something that they will be doing again this year, so that we can make those decisions as to whether or not we will be hosting our summer camp. Obviously, depending on what we find, if that's something we have to, if we choose to do that again this year, we're going to have to hit the ground running with that, considering we're already almost in March, and that would begin at the beginning of June. And then finally, I am meeting next week, starting next week, with some different vendors to start preparing estimates for what we may be looking at to resurface the pickleball and tennis courts. I reached out to Welch Tennis, who is the company that initially did the surfacing for pickleball and tennis. They informed me that the lifespan of that is somewhere around 5 years, and I believe we're at about 7. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and start collecting the estimates, so come budget time, we have an idea of what we're going to be staring at should we choose to move forward with resurfacing the 4 tennis courts and the 8 pickleball courts.
Everybody's got good news.
Okay, anything else from our staff? General Counsel report.
Okay, we talked about the Mueller and Avanti thing. Castro, there's still no movement on that. We're waiting on the second DCA to make a decision. All the briefs and everything are filed, so we're just waiting on the court. Foreclosure and litigation report didn't really do anything this time around because there wasn't a whole lot of movement. The way I generally was doing the foreclosure and litigation report was the report that you would have received tonight would have been effective or through things that happened through the end of January. Moving forward, based on the number of cases that we actually have, is not significant, and we're not doing a whole lot of new foreclosures aside from the one that I discussed that the bondholders have demanded that we move forward with. I expected that to be filed. I'm trying to have everything finished up so I can file it the first of next week. But based on the limited amount of stuff that we have in the foreclosure and litigation report, I would prefer to just give it to you each meeting on any of the significant updates, as long as you guys don't have an issue with that. If you want me to keep doing the paper stuff, I'm happy to do it, but there's probably not going to be a lot, in my opinion, it's kind of a waste of paper. So I'll be happily to do it that way. The other real thing that I want to discuss is we do have a board vacancy, unfortunately, based on the revisions that we made through the county. We did change the language. It no longer reads shall, it reads may appoint a replacement within 45 days. Otherwise, in that replacement, if a replacement is made, it would be through the next general election. So it's up to the board. It's no longer a requirement. It's up to you guys as to whether or not you want to replace Mr. Branson. So just be thinking about that, and so that we can prepare the resolution if necessary when you guys want to get it done.
Have we received any applicants saying that they would be interested in sitting on the board?
We have received 2 that I can share with you.
Have they actually signed up or did what they have to do?
They have sent me a letter and an email indicating interest, and that's about it. So I would make the assumption.
So that we really don't have any, really. Do we, or Dave, is that all they need to do?
That's all it said that that's all we told them that they had to do.
As long as they qualify, I think that's all that's required. Now, like I say, if they want to be the upcoming general election, you know, that's a different story. So, but the board has the ability to appoint a temporary replacement, and that, if the board makes that replacement, that person's term will end at the upcoming general election in 2022.
So we do have two that we can pick from so far.
We do, and I don't know when you want to cut that off. I mean, I've got two.
It's the 5th, I think the 15th we have to pick, I think, if I did the math
16th,
right.
yes. Right.
Yeah, and there's no more have to. I say it is a may. It was switched from shall to may. So the board could sit for 4 until the next general election. I would not recommend
No,
that.
we're going to do what we, there's going to be it'll finish a 2-year term, and then somebody will have to run for 2 more.
At your pleasure, I can send both of the resumes to you. I'll do that tomorrow if that's what you want.
And I think I know who the two are, but I don't see them here.
No,
Did you tell them we had a
they're
meeting?
not.
I don't know why they aren't here, but,
They are not.
okay.
Okay.
I will send you what I have tomorrow.
And then
I think
assumedly,
we probably
we need
should
individual.
advertise it again,
We can do that.
because I haven't seen anything since the initial
Yeah. We can do
ones
that.
went out, whatever.
One point of
So
clarification.
we're not under a 45-day requirement, or we are.
No, it is may. There's no more shall. The language just says may, so you may replace. But it does say may replace within 45 days.
Okay, so let's decide what we want to do, shall we?
I don't know if that's,
I knew I
I want-
shouldn't have said that.
I want to replace.
Well, yeah, we want to replace, but
well, I
let's set a
thought we
calendar.
were.
Can we do a calendar and decide when the hell we're going to do it? Is that possible?
I think it's May 15th.
We've got a board meeting on, the 16th and the 19th, the special meeting is on the 19th. I don't think that we could do that because special meetings have to be specifically for what they were.
For May?
Yeah, it's in
No, it's March
15th.
16th.
March 16th, I'm sorry.
Is the next meeting.
And I just assumed that because of the may and the shall, but I assumed we wanted 5 supervisors by then instead of 4.
So I'll send what I have to you tomorrow. Then it's up to you guys if you want.
Well, we better, we're not going to get together for another 2 weeks, right? So
Well, then I think the thing to do is if what I'm hearing is correct, then that's when the board will make the decision. And so you can take, people that are interested and can let you know, they just need to make sure that that they qualify as a qualified elector. And as long as they qualify as a qualified elector, then they can take the position.
And we can individually meet with them.
Yes,
We
I
can't meet
think-
with them as a group, but we could call them and say,
Yes,
we need
which
to meet with you.
I'm assuming that every supervisor would do that. You got to bet them a little, see what their thoughts are.
And then the concept would be, we need to get this done so that at the March 16th meeting, we can appoint them to be within that 45 days.
Well, that's only, I think we got to advertise it and say final applications and give them a date. So,
I was going to say, we give them one more week.
whatever it is, I
Whatever.
don't care.
I mean, but give them another notice that we need somebody, or that we're looking for applicants.
Pick a
And
date.
put it by, by X, whatever that X is.
March the 5th,
Fine.
6th,
For me.
So March 16th is our next meeting?
16th.
16th, right.
Yeah, so they have to have their application in by Friday, March 5th, I think is reasonable.
Okay.
So that
Yeah.
we've got time to meet with them before we
Right.
have the appointment on the 16th.
Right.
All right, and I will reach out to both of them and tell them that you will be contacting them, or you may be contacting them to talk to them about it.
And you're going to send those applicants to us.
First thing tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay, so then we're going to do it on the 16th, okay.
And then I have one clarification that I don't have the answer for in regards to the change, because we changed it so that we're appointing somebody until the end of the term or the next general election. So in this case, it would be the next general election. They will be running in that general election. Would they be running for the remainder of the term?
Correct.
2 years.
Okay.
So just for the 2 years.
Yes.
Correct, so their appointment, whoever you pick to be appointed, will be up until the general election. That person will also have to enter their name into the general election, and if they run opposed, then they would take it for the remainder, for the rest of the term. If they don't run unopposed, if there's an actual election, then whoever wins that election will stay in the position through the end of the term.
Right.
Okay. Is that it, Dave?
That's all I've got.
Okay. General Manager's report?
Okay. I have quite a few things. First of all, we have one employee who is now out with COVID, should be back hopefully Monday. We've had 3 or 4 so far that actually tested positive, but all of them are fine, and this is the only one now that's out. He's one of Mike's employees. One of the things I've been trying to do is get through as much as I can the analysis on our water sewer situation. The last update to that was done in 2011, so it's more than 10 years old. We have 2 plants, one of which is, well, it's hard to believe the numbers because there's a lot of infiltration in some of the old numbers. Bottom line is what I'd like to do is update that today so we know where we are, so then we can figure out where we need to go. One of the issues that, if you think about it, Plant 23 is 48 years old with an assumed useful life of 50 years. And it's been upgraded and expanded and everything else, but one of the things you need to know is that 23 sits on a 9-acre tract. It cannot be expanded anymore unless you put in reclaimed water, which if you think you were scared of the numbers so far, the last number I saw was $8 million to put in reclaimed water. SwiftMud will pay part of that, but one of the issues is we don't really generate enough effluent water to water the golf course when we need to. So I think at this point in time, we can get Polson to do an update. They gave me an estimate of $5,000, which is under we pay them so much an hour for analysis. So I'd like to get that done and update it so we know where we are. Second issue, we have 2 offers from Mr. Hornick. As you know, we withdrew the offer for all of Unit 12. He now wants to buy 2 pieces of it, which is about 9 acres. The kicker in there is that if there is mitigation that has to be done, then that's required of us in his offer. Before I can bring that to you, we have to know what the mitigation might be. So we have, before Tanya left, she entered an agreement with Kurt Olson at Florida Forestry and Environmental to see how many tortoises are on the 78 acres. And if they can locate any sand skinks, which sand skinks are lizards without legs in essence, but they are protected, both. So if we have to do mitigation, it could be as much as 2 acres for every acre that you have to mitigate. So we're talking 214 acres. If we had to do it all, it would basically eat up Unit 12. In addition, I don't know who would wind up paying the county for the part we had to do mitigation. So there's issues we have to talk about and go through. But the first step on that as well is, are there any turtles out there or not, and how about sand skinks? So that's being done. I should have that answer within 2 weeks. Mike didn't mention that he is upgrading the irrigation here at the community center. That's being done as we speak. Should be done, I don't know, they're putting stuff in the ground today.
Yeah, next week they open.
Next week.
Yeah.
Which hopefully then we can actually have green grass.
Well, that's good, but when we redo the roof, just be careful that they don't screw it all up. I got to be honest with you.
We're not putting irrigation on the roof.
I know, but your truck's going to come in and do the roof. Trucks are gonna come in. Hey, I'm just telling you.
I know.
I gave you 5 additional resumes. I think that makes about less than 40. I read through them. I wasn't all that impressed with any particular ones, but at some point in time, we're looking at it as well through March the 5th, so that's what's been advertised. So on March the 5th, we're going to have to see what we got, or you're going to have to see what you got and figure out what you want to do about it.
I went on the website. It's a pain in the butt to even find them.
Is it?
Yeah.
Hadn't tried.
I mean, even pulling up Sebring and zeroing in on the city here, it's still very difficult to find them. But, I mean, I found them, but...
I think they're on Indeed.
They're on Indeed, and they're on the
municipality
the
website.
special district website. They're there, but...
That may be part of the problem, I don't know, but we aren't getting very many qualified. We got a lot of people that would like to have the job, but I don't know how many are qualified.
So we had a discussion at the last meeting about possibly using a headhunter, and David, you issued some concerns with the process of getting a headhunter, but we may need to look seriously at a headhunter. So what are the concerns, and
How do we get around it?
I think that the only real issue is that we would have to, I don't know that the job description that we've got alone would be sufficient. The board may need to give a little bit of additional direction that says, go find someone that meets these specific criteria. And say we want 10, pick a number. Because the big issue, the sunshine issue is recommendations. And so as long as the person that's delivering the information is not recommending someone, we're fine. So as long as the criteria are clear and you say, we want you to go and find 10 people that meet these criteria, don't give us any, don't recommend one above the other, don't rank them, don't anything, bring us 10 people, I think we're okay. I'll do a little bit more research, but based on what I have done, as long as no recommendation is involved, we should be fine.
Well, I think we could do that. I've also been looking at the position description for this position, and I know you amended it, but to me, it should deal more with leadership and team building and what you should be getting done than specific tasks, if you will. If you read the position description, it says you got to go do this and you got to go do that and you got to do the other. And really, you need to be leading your team to get those things done and developing your team. So I would like to do a little more work on it, but maybe send you guys a rough draft and let you give me input as to what you think, and maybe for your perusal at the next board meeting, but I can do that in the next few days.
Well,
I think that would be great.
Okay, yeah, I agree. And Dan, I'm going to ask you, and I'll ask the rest of the supervisors, with all the stuff that was just thrown at us, I hope you can get together with the rest of the supervisors and start informing them more than just what we have here, because there's a lot of questions, I think, that will come from what's coming up.
There's a lot of stuff going on.
We don't know about?
Well, no, you just heard about some of them, but I don't think you've...
Well, I'm obviously very willing to meet with any of you at any time, and whatever I can do to make your life easier, I'm absolutely ready to do it.
I mean, I don't, changing the district manager's responsibilities or job description. We specifically put things in there to hold her to task because there was no way to measure her performance.
Right.
So I would still want to see things like that in there.
Oh, absolutely. It's just in addition to, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I think her job description is way too long to begin with.
But the actual, if you want to say what your objective is, it should be to lead the team here. It shouldn't be to get the documents done.
Okay, we can look at it.
I'll send you. I don't, the strategic plan that Sun and Lake has was written by Global Golf. It doesn't deal with any of, there are things that are important and there are things that are urgent. If we have a problem on the golf course, that's important and that's bad. If we have a problem in the water and sewer department, that's catastrophic. So we need to, at least in my opinion, whether you want me to do it or you want whoever you hire to do it or whatever, I'm perfectly willing to do that, to work on it for you and get you copies of it so that you can go through it if you want. But if you'd rather I didn't, I'm fine with that too. It's up to you guys. But there is nothing in there that says anything about anything Mike has to do with. It's all deals with
Anything
golf.
about what?
Anything with Mike's, anything with the operation. It's all about golf.
All about what?
Golf.
Certainly I want the new general manager to take that as a priority, but if you can give it a head start, I think that would be terrific, putting together a broader strategic plan, because, as you say, Sun and Lake is a golf community, but it is a community, and the aspects of the community need to be strategized every bit as much, if not more, than the golf course operation.
If you guys are okay with that, I'm certainly willing to do it, and you can pass it on to the new guy, and he can change it all if he wants, or a new woman, whatever it is. It's up to you.
Did you find anything that we were doing okay? I'm just curious.
We're doing a lot of things right, and the best thing about Sun and Lake is we're financially very sound.
Temporarily.
For now.
Well, there's a couple of the really good things that have happened since I was on this board is you got that fifth third off the financial statement. You probably borrow more money now than you wanted to borrow. But I think we should take advantage of all the grants we can take advantage of. And as you determine what we can do in the master plan, recreation plan, there's probably grants we can get for a lot of that too. So it's not quite as big a number as you might think. But we're working on it. We'll get there.
Is that it, Dan?
That's it.
Unfinished business. New business. Committee reports. Public comment.
Good evening, Bill Norcross again. A quick comment here on the projects, Ariel, that you have there. Are there any federal grants, anything available for this particular project, or any of them?
There are lots of grants that are available, yes. We are working with a group, Guardian Community Resource Management, and what they do is they're a company that basically takes a look at the project and says, hey, for this particular project, you need to go, we're going to go after FERDAP, or we're going to go after all the different, there are many different sources. It's a matter of us choosing, and doing the priority list like we did so that we know which ones we can hone in on, because each respective project has its own list of grants that it could potentially be eligible for.
Well, I hope you'll have a lot of success with that endeavor. Anyhow, it's like we had some help with the shuffleboard courts out there, which really helps. The good news, Michael, is that we had an evening, nice evening. The fish fry was good. My wife enjoyed it. It was very pleasant. Now, kind of the bad news, which I have to disagree with you on charging a $5 fee for a golf cart for members. I don't care what you do with other people, but I'm concerned about the members. And I have to enlighten Neil a little bit. It costs a lot of money to run a golf cart out there. It cost me $7,000 to buy it. I have to buy tires, batteries, the whole works. Right now, it's in the shop now because it's going to cost me another $1,000 for repair, in which I am borrowing a cart probably 3 times a week. And hopefully my cart will be back. And to nickel and dime members, I don't think it's fair. I really don't. We're paying $1,700 for a trail fee. Now, what I could do and say, I don't want to pay the trail fees, I want to pay $500 family membership for a golf cart whenever I want to use it. Now, you're going to lose $1,200. Doesn't make any sense. So I want you to think about that. We had that argument with Ron Windling before. You want a response?
No. Go ahead. We'll come back to Mike when everybody's done.
Okay, fine. All right, listen, I want to publicly thank Maggie and Denny Bogle for their use of their home on that Joe Branson Memorial Tribute. It was very, very nice. It was put together very nicely. Kyle did an excellent job. And even Joe showed up with a rainbow, if you were there. So anyhow, Mike Hurley also, his staff did an excellent job guiding all the traffic around. There was a lot of traffic. The line was quite extensive. So I want to thank Michael and his crew for doing an excellent, excellent job. A couple of other subjects have been brought up before. On the PPP and the tax on gas, the 10%, that we do not get that revenue from the county. And I wish that we could resolve that. Dave Halberg brought that up in 1986. Somehow we relinquished the rights for that 10% or 10-cent tax on gas, which amounts to some money. So I cannot understand why, under the PPP program, you can have a private club get $300,000, another one get $500,000 to keep the people working there. And we actually, on a gym service, I think, come up with a donation. And we gave the members who are possibly going to get laid off some money. And I just can't understand why all this money's floating around just because we're tax exempt. It doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. I see a lot of abuses going on out there. I think that everything else is very, very good. The golf course is in fine shape. It's never been any better as far as I'm concerned. I want to thank Mike's crew for doing a good job. Thank you.
Before we leave the subject on grants, have you had any conversations with Highlands County? Because they do grants up there all the time.
I messaged, I believe it's Liz Barber that's in that position now, is who I messaged, and her recommendation was that for most of those projects, we sent her the list of what we had in the cost estimates we received, and she recommended that we start with RPAC. She recommended we start with RPAC.
And have we?
Yes, yeah, we have, well, once we have everything finished, yes, then we bring that as a presentation to them when we decide what it is that we're pursuing. We put the application together and we submit it, and it goes before the board, just like we did for shuffleboard.
All right.
Additionally, the state revolving fund is a county thing too, and that's Liz Barber as well.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi, Bruce Hall, SNMA. I want to apologize to the board, and in particular to Ariel. I've looked through my emails while I've been sitting here, found a January 8th email from her that specifically identified the volleyball court and the youth swimming pool area to be excluded from the master plan. So that will be reflected in the plan update that I'll make tomorrow and forward on over to Ariel. So I apologize for that oversight.
Thank you. Anyone else?
One last thing, Mike. I think we should recognize that Tanya did an excellent job the years that she was here. and I didn't mean anything I said to be any kind of a criticism of anything she did. Everybody looks at things differently. I'm looking at one thing, she looked at the other, so we'll get on down the road, and I really do think that the district's in great shape.
Okay, that's well spoken. I think we agree. Any more? Okay, board report, discussion.
In regards to furniture that's on the patio, I think we need to extend that for like another 8 tables with 32 chairs with a hole in the middle of the table so that we can have umbrellas come summer. And there is money still in the budget, I believe, we had in for the dining, for the banquet room furniture. And my understanding, we spent $6,000 on the last group that we just bought. So I would like to see us go ahead and get the other additional tables, chairs, but this time with a hole so that we can buy umbrellas later on also. Any thoughts from anybody else?
Well, I'm just thinking, do we have enough, we may have to pour more concrete, right?
No, we're not going to do that.
No, I'm just saying, to get 8 more tables on with chairs.
I looked at it, and it looks to me like you could actually set it up and still have the social distancing with tables set up as 4s.
I think it'd be close, you're right. I mean,
And if 8's too many?
Yeah, because you got to remember, umbrellas and stuff, wide, they're wider. But yes, we do need more tables, because I noticed that myself.
Yeah, there's no question the members are taking advantage of it.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, and the pour another 12 feet wide is not that big of a deal.
If 8 is too many to do the social distancing, then maybe it's 6.
Yeah.
But I think we need additional tables, but let's put the hole in it this time, just so that we can put umbrellas for come summertime.
Sure, I'm happy to do whatever the board directs me to do as far as that goes. I agree. I feel we have the need and there's the demand right now for more tables, and we can do that. However, do not recommend the umbrellas. I think we just spent $200,000 for a view of the lake, and I don't think umbrellas are what we're looking to establish there. However, I am more than happy to do whatever the board says to do.
We want the option.
And that's fine too. We can make it so it is an option.
I mean, just because you got the holes don't mean you have to use your...
That is correct. I mean, whatever you guys want to do.
But no holes, you
If
can't
we
use them.
set the umbrellas up out away,
And we can look to see if that is an option, yeah.
then they can still see the lake.
Absolutely.
The concern over the umbrellas is really more so what's going to happen this summer.
Yes.
Right now, it's not necessarily a problem because the temperatures are pretty good. But once it gets into summertime and people want to sit outside, they're going to roast.
I agree. I don't know if the demand will be there then, but we can always we can be ready. Absolutely, if that's what you guys want me to do. Is that the consensus of everybody?
Was that a correct statement, that we have the money to do that?
We have set aside in our capital plan, we were going to do for banquet furniture and some other stuff in there. We can allocate that money to that. We just won't have the budget to do what we originally planned it for.
Oh, it was what, 42,000?
I believe the number's 40,000, but there was there was several things in that, and I don't have all that right here in front of me to do that, but it's absolutely doable. We just might have to, if we do decide to go forward with that capital plan, we're just going to have to adjust what we decided to do at the time to accommodate the budget. But
that was upgrade to banquet.
It was mostly the banquet room upgrades, curtains, lighting, things like that.
And how long would you think it would take to get here?
The tables?
Yes.
Last time we executed it fairly quickly, so a couple weeks.
Okay.
I mean, banquet business is not going to pick up till late fall.
Fall, I'm thinking as well, but, so if we ever decide, I mean, it's a discussion we'll have, but, I would assume we would want to have our stuff completed before that, but, I mean, that's a discussion we need to have and see where we're at financially and things like that.
Right
So,
now, let us know.
if everybody's in agreement, I'll move forward with that.
I'm good with it.
You guys are...
You good? Okay, I'm good. Yeah, we can do that.
That's all I have.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I got something. This pertains to the last meeting and the conversations we had about negotiating Dan's agreement and how it was going to be handled. I got to be honest with you. When I left the meeting, I honestly thought that there would be a negotiation by Tanya and Dan. They would come up with something, and it would come back to the board to be presented. That was my impression when I left. I don't know if you guys had the same impression, but anyway, as we know, an agreement was worked up and it was executed. And I just think that for a position of this nature, the board should be involved in the final say-so of the agreement. And the fact that we didn't do it, I just don't agree with that. I can tell you the things were said pertaining to conditions that apparently weren't true or didn't matter because the document says differently. And I would have challenged them. And that's not to say that we wouldn't have, I probably would have lost 3-1 or 4-1, whatever the hell it would have been. But when we have a situation where we're doing something this important, I think the board's got to have the final decision, all the board members. And I just think we made a serious mistake. And I did check this out. You want to help me?
Yeah, and I have to take some responsibility for that because I went back and I listened to the audio, and the last motion or the last amendment that was passed before the resolution was approved was that Mr. Stiegel's contract would not exceed Tanya's, that the GM, being Tanya, was going to negotiate that, and that he was to start as soon as possible. There was discussion early on about it coming back to the board, but that never actually got adopted into the resolution. So unfortunately, the way that I have always done resolutions in the past is when Tanya negotiates a contract, she also executes it. So my recollection was that that's what was supposed to happen, so that's how I drafted it up. In the future, when the reason we give you guys the resolutions a week beforehand is to try and iron out any potential issues. And so when we start doing amendments to resolutions, it becomes problematic, and based on our kind of semi-casual nature that we do conduct business here, some things get lost in translation. So in the future, I'm going to take it upon myself to try to make sure that when we are amending resolutions, that we get the very specific language down so the minutes can properly reflect it and everybody's on the same page as to what's actually being agreed to. So if any of the other board members thought, that this was going to come back to the board before final approval, I apologize. Tanya and I were under the understanding that we were to negotiate with Mr. Stiegel and execute an agreement. So if that's not what was intended, I apologize. And if there's any issues with the agreement that was negotiated, please feel free to let me know. I think the only real issue that popped up was that, Tanya had a provision in her contract that allowed her a golf membership. Lots of the other benefits were removed, but that was not one of the benefits that was removed, and it's my understanding that he was to have no quote-unquote benefits. And so if the board sees that as a benefit that should have been removed, please let me know, and I'm sure we can work it out with Mr. Stiegel.
Yeah, I'm not looking to change it. The agreement's fine the way it is. I'm just saying, I think the board's got to act like a board, and I think we should be responsible for the hiring or the contract of the person who works for us.
I think Ray tried to delay it, and I thought we were pretty specific not to do that and to have Dan start.
I'm sorry, I did not try to delay anything.
Well, you tried to get it to be done in two, maybe that's the incorrect words, but you tried to extend it to the next meeting, to this meeting.
For us to sign off on the contract, that's correct.
And we decided that we didn't want that, I thought. Now, again, I didn't listen to the audio. I was under the understanding that it was going to be signed, and I wasn't to be part of it. So,
you would have to be part of that.
Yeah. And so, and Dave told me I could be there, but there was somebody didn't want me in there, and I didn't go in then.
And it basically boils down to specificity, and that's my job as the attorney, is to make things as specific and clear as possible, and I'm going to do better when we're doing amendments to resolutions that have already been drafted, because the resolution was drafted. You know, it was just the original resolution was to approve certain things about Tana's contract, had no mention of an interim general manager. And so when we're starting to amend resolutions that have already been drafted, especially when they're as significant as, adding, there was a lot added to that resolution. We need to make sure the language is as correct as possible, and I'll do better.
Yeah, I agree. Neil, do you have anything?
Yeah, it was my understanding that we were going to give them the power to negotiate so he could start immediately rather than wait until he had a contract approved by us to be able to go to work.
That was I understood us. I thought that we had outlined exactly what the requirements were for her. She couldn't exceed what she had in her contract.
No.
Except for the fact that he wasn't going to have medical benefits because he had his own medical benefits.
The only thing we talked about was financials.
And medical benefits.
There were no benefits. That was what was spoken at the meeting. Somebody said that he wasn't interested in having any benefits. Right?
Definition of benefits, I guess.
In any event, it's fine. I just want in the future for it not to happen again.
Well, I don't think any of us wanted to do wrong, but it sounds like we did what was told, and it was probably 3-1. But
That's
okay.
not funny.
Well, it is.
I don't think it's funny, Mike.
Anybody, you got anything else?
No, I had a number of items that we actually addressed during the course of the meeting, so.
Okay. Ariel, I don't know if you've contacted the supervisors, but the new resident night is coming up. Could you speak on that?
Thank you very much for that reminder. Yes, so the new resident social is something that we do once a year. It's for residents who moved into Sun and Lake the previous year, so this would be for anyone who moved into the district in 2020. As of now, we have about 40 people who have RSVP'd to attend. It will start at 5 o'clock, and that's when we're going to do like a 5 o'clock, yes, 5 o'clock this year, and it's going to have some lighter appetizers, and then the actual program will start at 5:30. The setup for any of you who are at the Meet the Candidates Forum will be very similar to that. In the past, we've done like mingling at tables, and we're obviously not going to be doing that this year, so we'll have the spaced out chairs and everyone kind of sitting facing the front, so that is a little bit better under the circumstances for this year, but that is this Thursday.
And what's the date?
We have the member tournament Thursday and Friday.
5 o'clock, in the morning or an afternoon?
Afternoon. 1 o'clock, 1 o'clock shotgun.
Play fast.
Well, would have liked to gone home and cleaned up and stuff, I guess, but.
We'll forgive you if you don't smell good.
Was this the one that was added?
Of course.
No? Okay, this has been on the schedule?
It's been on there all along.
Okay.
And let's make sure there's utensils to eat the hors d'oeuvres this year.
Yes.
I had to do it.
We didn't have you.
Okay, and I just wanted to bring up, there's a meeting July 13th. It's another night meeting, I think.
Not July 13th?
July 13th. Is that correct? Do you have a schedule there?
Yeah. July 13th.
July 13th. Do you have anybody?
I don't have the schedule on me. Is it the 16th?
I'm showing July 13th at 6 o'clock. That's
Yeah, there's a meeting at July 13th, and I think there's probably two supervisors. We don't have to do anything now, but we have to look so we don't have a tournament or something, and we might have to move that. I just want to bring it up to...
It's a Tuesday, right?
It's a Tuesday.
It's a Tuesday, yes.
I don't think we have any tournaments in July. Okay.
Oh,
It's,
Garland.
it's, yeah, in Michigan. You'll be gone, and I might go too, so.
What is it?
Every summer, the Wood Group tries to go to a different location somewhere in the United States, and there's 90 to 100 of us that show up, and it happened to be at Garland Golf Course in Lewiston, Michigan this coming year, and that's the time frame that we were supposed to go. Was July 11th through
15th.
the 15th of Friday. So it's just something. It's not been on any schedule that you guys would have known of, and it may not happen because of COVID. You know, it's still up in the air.
I just wanted to make it, in case, so. Is there anything else? Mike, did you want to answer Mr. Norcross? Okay, you get with him. Mark, did you have something else?
Is it permissible to ask a question?
Come on, yeah, come up.
This popped up in my mind. Mark Camp, resident. And I'm not even sure, this might be for David, I'm not even sure how it to be addressed, but you talked about the change to the supervisor, and I remember, I believe it was actually you had come forward with that resolution, not the resolution, but the idea of changing it would be more.
I couldn't even tell you who, I don't think I initiated it, but I certainly supported it because I had a long appointment.
Yeah. Well, and actually, the question I really had was, I know the people that are submitted their names thus far, okay, and it's public information. But did I hear correctly saying they were going to be interviewed, potentially be interviewed by each of the supervisors?
Individually.
Individually?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, how does that decision come forward? Do you do that at the meetings and say, okay, I voted for John Doe and I voted for Mary Smith? How do you?
We vote at the meeting. We would, one of the supervisors would make a motion that we appoint so-and-so. And if they...
Okay, so it's tradition like they used to do it.
Right.
It's only you have one-on-one interviews with those people.
Yes.
Okay. I was just wondering how they're going to do that because of the sunshine law.
Yeah.
I said, how are they going to make a decision?
Yeah,
Okay.
We'll do it at the meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, I know I met with Neil, I met with Ray, and I met with Joe individually.
Yes.
And it was
But-
brought up then, somebody made a motion. I think one of the times they didn't pass, and the next motion was made, and the next one was passed.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah,
so-
I'm pretty familiar with the meetings. So
The actual resolution will just have a blank. That's how it's done in the past, and then someone will make a motion as to who to put in that blank.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
I want to thank you all for coming tonight. I don't know if you like the night meetings, but tell the supervisors if you do or you don't. So, thank you very much. Meeting adjourned.
I heard that. What? You don't like these measures?
I do not. And I won't be bashful about it. I don't like them.
Well, the turnout's no better than it used to be.
Exactly. I didn't think it would be. I like them. If there's any way to stop